Hi everybody, my name's Nick. This is our pre-final prototype presentation on our project Time Out. So this is more of an ad hoc presentation, so I'm kind of going to go through just a list of everything from main concept, goals, type of project, and user goals as well. So just the main overall concept, this is going to be a fully realized VR game with puzzle solving elements. As this is a short experience, we're keeping the scope fairly limited, and as such, the entirety of the game will take place in one setting. So within that setting, you will take control of a young child who's been causing some mischief for his mom. So he's been set in the timeout zone. And this directly relates to our user goal because we want to evoke a sense of nostalgia for the player, as you know, this takes you back to a time when consequences for your actions were not as emphasized as they would be when you're an adult. And so, as you take control of the child, you're looking to cause some more mischiefs, and as such, mom's hidden your favorite snacks on somewhere hard to find. So now you gotta go and find them. And in lieu of this, we've included a secondary mechanic, or well, more of the main mechanic, but it's with a secondary character. So as this kid who's a little bit of a smart cookie, he's got a little robot companion that he's built, which you can actually take control of. And so these two characters are the crux for our level design process, as we want to have them or have both these characters used in the puzzle solving sequences. So as such, you can actually switch perspectives between the two. So as a child, you might have better access to opening up a little bit higher places, but with the robot in particular, you can get into smaller to reach places, climb up vents, climb over windowsills, access smaller places, right? And so to give you an example, imagine I'm the child and the counter's like right here. I might be able to reach all the way over top of it. So what I can do is I can interact with the robot by picking him up, placing him on top of the counter, switching to his perspective, walking him over to the item, and then pushing it over. So stuff like that, which creates an interesting dynamic between the two characters that we hope that will enhance the feeling of immersion for the player. So along with that, the sense of scale we want to permeate the setting is really important to again enhancing that immersion that we're going for. And so in total, we want it to feel like a complete, well-scoped game that the player can feel like they've really become this child and have some fun embodying or going back to a time where they can screw around and have fun with it and not get uh, too in trouble for it. All right, now we're going to move into the demonstration aspects. So we've split this up into two aspects or two scenes where we've got one to test out our core mechanics and a second to start exploring our environment design. So first, I'm just going to open up our VR rig setup and now I'm going to jump right into it. Once I just drag this onto here and hop right in. So first, just entering in. Okay, so I can look around nice and easy. So I've got that scale nice. So that first is our kid model we've got going, and one over there is the robot. So first I'll just demonstrate just the most basic aspect. So we've got our teleporting aspect where I can, don't know if you can see this, it's kind of hard. So I can tilt the control stick on my Quest 2 forward, and it creates that beam. So when I look around, there's that arc for how far or how long of distance I can travel. So I'll just head up right to this object here. So the first thing I can do, grab here with the grip buttons on my controller. So using these here, sorry, it's kind of hard to see. So, and then I can also throw that as well. So we're going to use this for our different grabbing aspects as well. Over here, first another form of interaction before we get into our main interaction goals. We can also grab this in lieu with the grabbing stuff. I can move this on the rotation point, so I can open up doors and different aspects with that. So, and now for our main interaction. Right now, so for this is for the perspective changing. So right now we've just got a button press because it's easier to test with. If we have enough time in our future, we want to use a VR interaction to enable this transition. So what we were thinking of something similar to most VR games like Half-Life Alyx or No Man's Sky, where you have interactions where I can reach over the shoulder and pull out an item from an inventory and like press a button to start it. But for now, we figured it's best to just make sure we can actually use it for. So this button is the X button on my controller. First, I can switch. Boom, I'm in the robot. First, I can teleport around. Nice. I can move my model, and then I can switch. Now, as you can see, woo, there's the eyeballs. So obviously, it still needs a little bit of work getting the scale right. Well, it's actually not that bad. But I am now in the model, and I can move him around too, and I can switch in between the different perspectives, which is pretty cool, I have to say. Obviously, it still needs a little bit of work. We're still working on getting the scaling of the two right, just so we can make sure it's makes sense when you like a larger human being, and then switching into that smaller robot. And as well, it's pretty simple. We're going to probably disable meshes when you teleport, so you can actually see it, or don't have to see yourself with a robot. And then just keep it in, or the what's it called? The meshes in the same spot they were when you first teleported them, so that it makes sense logically. That is our main mechanics done. We've got a lot of the implementation ready. It's just going to take a bit more of that polishing and tuning that we really want to get down first, and then it should be a fairly simple matter of actually just starting to implement and place these certain aspects into the scene. So now moving onto our second part, I'm just going to exit this, go into our second scene. Sorry, I just had to switch off my headphones or my headset just to get this started, but into our second part here. So this is our basic layout we've built with ProBuilder, just to get an idea or sense of how we want to place our VR setting. And we've tested it so that in the first person controller, the scale has a, or at least like this, you can actually start to feel that difference in scale. So like that main height is comparable to what a child would feel. Obviously, it's going to take a bit more time testing out with the actual VR project or the VR camera. But again, we felt like it was more so our time was better invested in getting those mechanics down before we really started with the scene. And then finally, our plan for completion. As I've alluded to throughout this presentation, we're taking a very measured approach to this process, whereas we want to really make sure those mechanics are as tight as possible. And then as the implementation into the scene should be a fairly simple process from there. It's more so just plugging and placing, and then just iterating and iterating, or sorry, testing and testing with users just to get that feel right. Obviously, it's not supposed to be a huge experience, and so that measured approach is really helping for us. And so to achieve this goals, we've set out roles for our teammates, such as for myself, I'm the project manager. I'm making sure there's solid deliverable dates so that we know when to get certain mechanics ready, where I can start testing. Also, I'm doing all the testing for it as well. Better programmer, getting all of our mechanics set, working with me to make sure they're tuned up well, and then Noah and Wilson working together to bring all those assets and environments together for that full, complete picture. And in terms of player testing, I definitely have some friends, as well as Alex mentioned that she'd led us to some testing with her friends or people she's staying with. And I think once we've gotten our mechanics into at least a good semblance of, or yeah, a good semblance to start testing with, we're going to start our user-based testing to really solidify our experiences, make sure everything's kind of at least maybe not bug free, because it's going to be really hard to make sure our game is completely bug free in the month, but at least get it to as far as we can push it within that time span. So it's more so about pushing against that deadline as best as we can with the time we've got. And that concludes our presentation. I hope you like it, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask.